This insightful podcast episode provides a glimpse into the experiences and insights of the Build Insite team, a passionate group dedicated to continuous learning and improvement in the construction industry. We emphasize the importance of collaboration, sharing knowledge, and exploring new technologies to advance the craft of building. We also offer valuable perspectives on starting and running a construction business, from taking it slow to finding mentors. Listeners will appreciate the team's authenticity as we share ideas on building science, business ownership, and personal growth. Our commitment to healthy homes and sustainable practices comes across clearly. If you want to hear more innovative builders pushing the envelope, be sure to check out Build Insite. The Build Insite team offer real-world stories and actionable tips to help you on your building journey.
What do you boys do to look after your mental health and that sort of thing? And that?
Want me to dive back in?
You go, mate. You go. You're the host.
So I alternate, so I'll try and get out for a run, like Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So I got a young family as well, and I've got to make sure that I'm doing right with them. So I'll get up 5:30, run Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I'll meditate and do a bit of thinking time on a Tuesday, Thursday. Yep. I do have a copy of the Resilience Project's journal. So for anyone listening, GEM is the keyword there. It's gratitude, empathy, and mindfulness. And I'll journal. It's really quick and easy to do, 5-10 minutes every night. And it helps. It makes you reflect on the things in the day that you may not have thought that much of, but then they are such positives. And you go to bed thinking about those positives, and it makes a difference. That's probably the big thing. I also take a couple of supplements. Everyone who listens to podcasts probably knows of Athletic Greens. I think that's a really good for me. That works. And I also make sure that I take because I'm a caffeine lover, I'll have a couple of coffees a day. I also try and make sure that my sodium intake is up there. So there's various things out there, you can go get salt tablets and about 1,000 milligrams of sodium in a day if you're a coffee drinker like me and exercise. That's, I think it's a really good fit for me. So yeah, they're the sort of things that I do. I don't know what else?
Well, are you, Dano?
Yeah, mate. I was actually just going to jump in and say before, so Daz couldn't obviously be here today, but we used to both hit the gym together in our early to mid-20s, like 5-6 days a week. Darren, to his credit, has been more of an inspiration to me. He's never let up on that. So for himself, his well-being's always been really solid. Whereas I had kids first and kind of let the excuse of no, I'm too busy, work's too important, and there are probably some more things we can touch on later. But yeah, the well-being side of things, after COVID, I needed to just go back into full swing. So for myself now, gym, I love, probably for me, putting headphones on and lifting weights, and just that's my kind of out now to kind of really switch off. I live on acreage too, so I love being out on the farm and getting out for walks with the border collies and down the country roads. But yeah, it might sound a bit woo-woo. I know a few of us are into this stuff now, but it just like ice bathing every morning. Yep. I've been doing that all year. It's probably helping with my target of 300 workouts for the year. But yeah, we've through a few different things and a couple of live events with Live Life Build, we've been getting into a bit of breath work. As I said, I'm always a pretty busy person with 4 kids and business and farm and everything. So I find that's actually been a pretty powerful little tool, just to do it in the lounge room a couple of times a week. But yeah, mate, that's probably it, just to really focus it. And I think one thing I never used to do was actually schedule this stuff properly. So first thing I do every week is sit down with some Sunday planning and just nail out what I'm doing for the week for myself first. And then everything else falls into line after that. I'm number one. It's got to be that way. I made the mistake too often of making myself second, and everyone else pays for my shit when I'm not running at my best.
Yeah. Shawnee, what about you, mate?
For me, I would say the biggest thing is just getting out in nature. Like, I'm lucky I live down in Tassie, and it's a fucking beautiful spot. Like, it is just magnificent, the landscapes and the scenery that you can see down here. And it's so easy, especially these days, you get caught up in all the shit, right, with like you're being so connected through social media and technology, and you're just surrounded by so much stuff, and it's just always grabbing at you. And yeah, I don't know, I find just when you go and spend time out in nature, go to a bushwalk, sit under a waterfall or something, and just, sit there with Mother Nature and just chill out. Like, that's how it used to be back in the day before all this stuff. Like, I feel like, yeah, we can get ourselves pretty far away from that, but I always feel at my best when I'm back out in there, like I've always felt, even when I've had really hard times in my life, when I'd just go out and sit out there, like I'd feel that sense of peace. So for me, yeah, it's definitely spending time in nature.
While we're on Shawnee, I haven't seen any photos, but is it true, mate? You used to be part of the Tassie Muscle Nation crew back in the day with a bit of gym work, mate?
So that feels like a lifetime ago now.
Have you
yeah, but I was really into the gym for like a fair few years. And then I guess, I don't know, I let myself get away from that. And that is something that even now I'm like acutely aware of how hard it is to get back into that. So that's something that I really want to be prioritising over the next 12 months is that part of my life, because I did really enjoy that, like getting into the gym, keeping yourself in shape, because, as you get on in the years, like that shit just starts catching up with you. Like stuff hurts that didn't used to hurt now. So,
by the way, everyone, it's a 1990s DOB, I think. So,
what about you, Luke?
Well, you definitely won't see me at the gym. I can tell you that right now. Probably one of my greatest ones is definitely getting out in nature as well. Like I mountain bike quite a lot, getting out in the forest and pedal a little hard out. That's a good way to go clear things up. That's probably physically about one of the only forms of exercise. I don't want to go into too much detail, but had a few pretty big motocross injuries back in my early days, and that's really had a bit of a setback on me physically. So just trying to get the most out of what my physical abilities are now. So yeah, lots of mountain biking, like Dean said as well, the ice baths and the breath work have been, I hate saying game changer, but they really have been a game changer. Just the way that it really refreshes you and clears your mind has been awesome. So I'm not quite committed to an ice bath every day, Dean. I think that's a lot of work to get into that, but definitely like cold showers if I'm not doing an ice bath, just a simple cold shower. And I find it more satisfying if you start hot, have your normal shower, and then just quickly whip the tap open cold, that instant shock. So that's...
Too cold in Tassie, Sean?
Oh, it's bloody good. It is actually. It's funny you say that about the cold, though. I remember, I reckon it was one of the live events we had with Life Field. We were over at Melbourne. Dwayne, he was going on about having cold showers all the time up there. I'm like, mate, it's 30 degrees on a cold day up there. Like, we get down to like basically zero down here. And then he was saying...
I don't know what cold water is, let's be honest.
Well, because then when he came down to Melbourne, he was saying about how cold the showers were down in Melbourne. He said, it was a bit colder down here. I'm like, I wasn't lying to you. So, yeah.
I've been told tank water's the coldest though, David.
Tank water is very cold. So my wife and I were doing cold showers when we were living in town before we moved out to Acreage a lot, and the change from tank water to just the town water, whether the pipes in the ground, that it was phenomenal, big difference. Like it was, I actually stopped doing them. It was too much for me. Yeah.
I don't think you need to put ice in winter in climate zone 7. I think we're just going to leave the lid off the ice bath and just go in. It's pretty cold.
Yeah. Well, I want to jump in. I think it might be a bit of a storytelling time. I kind of want to hear, like, what are some of... I think it'd be interesting for people to hear some of the horror stories that we've seen in industry prior. So, like, personal experience stuff that you've seen on job sites or have, heard of firsthand. I don't know, Sean, have you anything just that shouldn't exist? Or is, yeah.
Where do you start? Like, you go into the code stuff and how that's pretty basic, but I guess things that I have seen that make me just go, what the hell, is like you've said, Dave, like the water management stuff. Like I've seen where like you've had a nail hit a pipe and it's gone unnoticed, and then like the insurance claims happen and you've come to pull this wall apart and the timber just like, it's all mush, and it's not even that old. It might be like 12 months old or something like that. So like seeing that side of it from like, when you get involved in that insurance sort of stuff, just seeing like the damage, like how like they're moisture sensitive materials, right? So they can only take so much. And then once you push them past that point, and and then the remedial cost of that work's like, yeah, it's just crazy. So as far as like horror stories and stuff like that, it's just seeing how much of a solvent water actually is.
So, yeah, that's a great way of describing it. What do you think the solution is? Like, how do we make it? How do we improve that?
I would say you just like anything to do with water should be the thing that makes the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. Whether that's like
that is a horror story.
Whether that's like the soil type, right, or the slope of the site and how you're managing that water through, like the stuff that we can't catch on the roof, the stuff that falls on the ground and gets absorbed, how that'll affect the foundations. Thinking down that line, and then like the external waterproofing and understanding things like the hydrostatic pressure and then moving on to that, like your internal waterproofing. So as soon as I hear something to do with water, I'm always like, yep, righto. So let's put our listening ears on, because this will like come unstuck pretty quick and get pretty ugly pretty fast if we don't take it extremely seriously.
Because I don't know about you boys, but as a builder, water's definitely the number one thing that scares me.
Yeah.
That's, well, I put all my effort into, ensuring the waterproofing's done correctly and that sort of thing, because, you don't hear of too many houses just falling over. But you hear of so many houses as water damage. So,
well, it's number one, Dave. So it really, but it goes right back to the start. Like most builders are carpenters, like right back at the start. And we're not going to go slandering any systems or anything like that. We're not about that. But trade school, what's actually taught and what's understood.
Can I just ask? Sorry. So what trade school or education is there available for waterproofing? Because I don't believe it was part of my carpentry apprenticeship. That's for sure.
I think I'm a bit older now too, mate. So I don't think I can.
Part of the tiling apprenticeship, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, certification wise, it's got to be. Or in Victoria, at least, we got a compliance certificate for waterproofing. But to understand it as a whole, if you're the builder, it's not good enough just to say, "Yeah, I got my waterproofer in, and here's waterproof." You actually have to understand. And each job's different. We're all custom builders and custom designers. Each job's different, so sometimes there's some intricate details that haven't been done like that before on a project. So it's massively education. I think Dave, a good place to watch too is Build Insite. We've got a few good things on there. I think Dave just done something on some water management flashings and stuff. So shallow plug there.
Yeah, I'm just generally interested to know where that education is going to. Is it, if it's tilers? I'm not. I have to be honest. I'm not even aware of like what education tilers go through. Is it a standalone trade? Is there a trade school? Is there a certificate tied to that? Like, how does it typically work? Like, where can we send people who are listening to educate themselves on waterproofing?
Yeah, I think we've had some discussions even today. Like, there's better, more scientific waterproofing systems out there, but each product's got its own requirements and applications. So if you're using a certain brand, you can actually get that person out and get some training done and become certified to use that product. So I think there's a lot of that behind it. Without naming any names of brands, they've got their own specifications. We tiled a whole first floor cladding, external cladding. So we had Ardex come out and actually train our guys on the steps, and then we still had the waterproofers come in and sign off on it. But the system it's a system. So, but again, we had to like go and get that further education, not just rock up on site and slap some waterproofing up and it's done, sign it off, see you later. Yep. As Shawnee said before, we've still got to sign that off and be warranted. So again, water management, whether it's we're not just talking roofs and gutters here. We're talking about, cavities. We're talking about waterproofing systems, tiles, showers, pools, the whole works.
All right. Well, stay tuned to watch way more detail on waterproofing and on Build Insite. But I am going to throw it to the South Australian. Sorry, Sean, you were going to say something?
Oh, just a good resource. Like I did a like a glazed over. It was like a 1 day, half day thing with the master builders, internal waterproofing, and then another half day for the external waterproofing. And the guy that run that, Andrew Golay, absolute nerd, real good to learn off though. Like, he's been doing it for years, and there's not too much that he hasn't seen. And it was sort of like, it's funny once you know a bit of the building physics, building science stuff, and then he sort of started, like, it all ties in, right? And he would start to say things. I'm like, oh, okay. So, yeah, this guy definitely knows what he's talking about. And he's got some great stuff up on YouTube. Like, he's done some interviews and stuff, and
that's great.
Really good value.
Is he just Tassie based, or can we get access to him in the other states?
He's just based in Tasmania, yeah.
All right. Everyone's going to have to head down then.
Come on down.
Shawnee,
Victorians love it, I hear.
Shawnee, actually, you did a really cool video not long ago on one of your projects you'd taken over. You flooded the bathroom after waterproofing.
Oh, man.
So do you want to go into that a little bit, mate? We might be able to get that on the socials too.
Yeah. Well, it was just a flood test, right? So it was it's just proving what you've done. So, like, you've got the membrane down and that's all great, but how do you know? Like, you don't know till you know, right? And the first time you find out probably isn't, like, you probably don't want that to be when the client's standing there and there's tiles popped and it's 50 grand to fix now instead of like 2 grand. So yeah, like it's a flood test. You just you do your, like, the application of the membrane to the specified, like, there's a specified thickness. It's not just 3 coats or 2 coats. There is actually a film thickness that you need to achieve. So you put that on, and then you got to wait a certain amount of time until it's like achieved its full cure, and then plug the waste up, dump a heap of water in there, leave it for 24 hours, and then you just take a measurement at the start, take a measurement at the end, and if you've got a drastic difference, or in our case, if you just look under the house and water's pissing out everywhere, you're like, okay, so we've got to do some remedial.
That was going to be one of my
works
questions.
here.
How did it with concrete slabs? Because obviously that example was a timber subfloor. So there you go. It's easy, you can measure it. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Oh yeah, I do want to pick on SA a little bit here. No, I actually think you do it better. So the floor waste, you've got certain things that are different to what Victoria or Tassie, well, I don't believe Tassie has this rule. So do you want to walk through like how you go about doing things a bit more differently to mitigate water?
I have heard this actually. So I reckon it's because we have a reg that if you've got an overflow in your bath, your basins, that sort of thing, if you've got a fully enclosed shower, if you've got an overflow in the bath and the vanity, you don't have to have a centre floor waste, which I reckon, you correct me if I'm wrong, but you guys have to have one regardless anyway.
We don't have floor waste.
You don't have floor waste?
At all.
You're kidding?
No.
Well, there you go.
No, that's why I asked. I'm like,
Guys, crazy up there.
Yeah.
We're ahead of WA. They don't even have building inspections, so we're not the worst going around.
Right. Well, there you go. I didn't know
If
that.
you build a double brick, though, it'll stand up. Yeah, there you go. So, that's why I ask, because I always, whenever as we do every single day here, we go through the National Construction Code for fun. I just see it, SA has the call out. So, yeah. Well, yeah, I'm not sure if you've got anything further to add to that one, Dean, or any particular stories that you'd like to share.
Yeah, no, I think not to specifically with waterproofing, but I guess as a builder, we've all had things go wrong and had trades damage things and break stuff and whatever. But I think one thing that we've probably learnt with a bit of maturity, experience, and age, I guess, is like just taking that ownership. So if something does go wrong or doesn't go to plan, that at the end of the day, well, what could we have done differently? But yeah, we've had all sorts of stuff happen over the time, and we've had, I think on the last week of a job, we've had an electrician put a big 300mm bugle screw for a ceiling fan straight through the center of the gas pipe running through on a flat ceiling, and just all sorts of fun stuff. But you're always learning. It's just a matter of what you do next time to show that incremental improvement.
Well, as a building company that loves doing basements as much as you do, I'm sure you love water.
I don't think we want to do basements all the time. It's a bit hard to make a high performance basement, but we've got one at the moment with our showgrounds project. If anyone's watching our socials, but that was actually a fun one. It took 3 years of planning, and just so happened to be we started it before winter and luckily had a dry enough winter, but you still get like the odd cave-ins from your batters, and got, I think, pissed down rain a couple of times and caused a couple of small cave-ins. But one thing I will say out of that we've kind of tried to work on to provide some information is just the visuals. So there was some certain types of waterproofing that there wasn't really a lot of, like, I suppose, visual stuff to recall on. Obviously some of our American counterparts have certain things that they do a lot differently, but from our side of things, we use the Dental system, just some dry Zorro products for the waterproofing, sticker stops. There's a lot of reinforcement that still goes into that. So again, like the communication and, as Dave spoke on earlier, to be a really clear communicator and really pride yourself on your organisation. If you've got something like a basement, or any building system, and you're not organised and you don't communicate properly, it's pretty quick. You'll see that something's going to have a delay. We actually sort of found there's some engineering steps that you've got to make sure with your pre-construction everything aligns. Otherwise, it just, you're not just talking a day's delay. You may be talking 2 weeks to get some things changed, altered, approved, built off-site and steel fabricated maybe. So, a lot of organisation that goes into building more complex stuff, your architectural homes as well. I just find, again, like where things go wrong first is communication.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, that probably will lead into the next question and revert back to that, but someone's got to wear that expense of that time lost, right? And it's better that it's not you.
Well, exactly. 9 times out of 10. I've probably only ever had one scenario where an architect's worn something from their mistake, and it was only you're pretty good, mate. But no, we've had one scenario that actually delayed a handover. Our clients had a truck in the driveway, basically ready to move out of their house into this one, and I won't go right into it, but there was a bit of a battle between the surveyor and the architect in the end, and we were sort of in the middle supporting the clients, and there was definitely a few tears between clients and builders.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
The builders are usually the mediator too.
But no, I think it's and we go back to pre-construction. I know how successful it can be, and you still get some that don't go through to build, but 9 times out of 10, you've got a really great relationship building. I know some of the relationships Dave has with projects you've done with Outlier too, mate. Like you actually form some special bonds, and you're working through problems rather than blaming other people. I think when you build more complex stuff, if you're not involved and you've just expected to do a tender, stuff's going to get missed.
Yeah.
I think from my perspective, like the tendering process, it's like just going into a blind marriage, pretty much. That you don't know if you're going to be compatible with the client, and often the builder's just as nervous as the client signed the contract. But at least with the pre-construction process, that you do form that relationship before you even go to contract and that. And I sort of say to the clients, at the early stage of pre-construction, like, this is my time to show you that I'm trustworthy, I'm honest, and I can, run a really good business, and then, follow through to build you a good home. So, and I'm fortunate enough, I deal with good people too. So it's not all me. So it's a two-way party. And I know you guys are the same too, boys. That, you do choose who you work for, and that you're not just sign contracts with anyone.
Yeah, wow. I'm actually taken back, guys. It's I was expecting something else to be at number 2 behind bulk water management, but it turns out it's process for builders in pre-construction. So it goes bulk water and then pre-construction process for builders. Importance, everyone.
We're advocates.
Yeah. I mean, I was just sort of going to just share some stories maybe of, when I was a carpenter, I admittedly worked for volume builders. So I can't name names, but, we would be putting frames up day after slab's gone down. We'd be hammering in concrete nails through the bottom plate into the slab and blowing it out and just moving on. We would install those single glazed aluminium windows with our framing nails out of our bag, basically, like honestly, and they were punched in by the painters, and that was the finish. The wrap, well, it's exactly what you would think it would be. It was fallback wrap. It was not permeable. It absolutely, once insulation bats went in there, would have developed a condensation layer at times on the inside of that wrap, and very likely caused degrading of the timber structures, or at least mold growth in certain areas that we built. That's just my involvement on those sites. I can't speak for what happened thereafter either, I can speak for when I've done inspections on volume built homes. So we do as-built verifications, and we blow it or test them, and we get the thermal camera out and we have a look. And, there's one that I presented on this, but there were 4 different types of insulation in the ceiling. Not one of them was what was on the energy rating. So, yeah, there's a lot there that I think we should be able to be able to provide education for. And I guess that's where we come in. And I think that's what we're all passionate about, is sharing that knowledge and hoping that others can learn from it.
All right. So polished concrete slab, handovers in a week. The nature of this job, the water main didn't get connected till like right at the end. So they'd run all the poly in the underslab or whatever. And it comes to the end of the job to hook the water up, hooks the water feed up, and then just water starts pissing out from under the island bench. No, so I'm like, turn the water off. Anyway, long story short, we cameraed down where the water feed was coming in from the island bench. And something had punctured through the water pipe. So what we had to do, we were trying to drag a new line through this like polished concrete slab. Like, you're not cutting the slab. So we had to drag a water line through. It was like it had a soft conduit around it, I guess, but it was just shit because it didn't like give it any proper protection. So we had to cut the water line and then drag a new water line through under this polished concrete slab at like 5-6 o'clock in the afternoon. And we got it done. So the lesson learned from that is like, we'll just always run a hard conduit to our island benches. Like,
that is good advice.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
It was stressful.
Oh, yeah. I can only imagine what the worth of that kitchen was too, that joinery package. There's no way you want that getting wet. So, there's a few famous videos around Bendigo as well. I've seen probably 3 now from various builders who have been doing some earthworks, and then the entire ground just disappears in front of them, and it just is a mine shaft, and it just goes forever. One of them was a bathroom renovation, and the bath was sitting over the top of it, its original location. And when they removed that, and they were doing the demo to get a bit more clearance between the to get some ventilation between the bearers and the ground, and it just started opening up. And it was, roots and water dripping down it like an eerie Hollywood movie, like horror movie. It was unbelievable.
Indiana Jones like.
Very much so. So I don't know how you can apply education to those situations, but it's
check the soil report for black hole.
Yeah.
We actually had one a few years ago now. It was actually a really nice featured curved off-formed concrete retaining wall in a backyard, and we handed the house over. Great result, great build, great clients, the whole works, and hit the Christmas break, and actually had the phone off as we do. That's our shut-off period. Picked the phone back up just to touch base on things, and just had a few texts say, our sewers are blocked. I've had someone come out and block it, but might just get you guys to come check out what's going on. So turned out after the build and after the new sewers all run and everything, the landscape crew that was in to do that job ended up putting some reinforced bars and stuff to obviously do their formwork sporadically through the sewer. And it was just a catchment for the toilet paper and so forth. And in the end, that became a bit of an insurance job because there was no real acceptance of blame. It sort of said, "Oh, well, use your builder's margin to pay for it."
Yeah.
So, safe to say we haven't used those guys again. But the clients still had a great. We still catch up with them from time to time now, so they just sort of laugh at it now. But you get these stories about pipes after the fact, and it's never a fun one.
No, imagine not.